implement it.
We know that at least three Americans are being held in Iran right now. The retired FBI agent Robert Levinson, Amir Hekmati, a former U.S. Marine, and a Christian pastor, Saeed Abedini. The pastor's wife was just on CNN's The Lead, and she made an appeal for the release of her husband and the other Americans. Listen to this.
Expect them to speak out and say, we asked for his release, and this is horrible what has happened. He's not going to survive even few months in that prison. And this is Iran's continuous violation of human rights, and here's an American citizen who's being held there because he's a Christian, and he needs to be released immediately.
So a lot of folks are asking, Tony, in exchange for the $6 or $7 billion they're about to get in relief on these sanctions, why weren't they included? Why are they still being held captive inside Iran?
Well, first of all, I watched your report and I heard her, and it is very powerful. And the president has raised this. In fact, in his conversation with President Rouhani, when Rouhani was in New York for the UN General Assembly and they spoke on the phone, the only issue other than the nuclear file that the president raised was the three Americans who are in Iran. And he asked for Rouhani's assistance in freeing them and allowing them to return to the United States. And Rouhani said that he would look into it. With regard to these negotiations, the only subject on the agenda is the nuclear file. There are unfortunately many things that Iran does around the world that we don't like, including its support for terrorism, including its destabilizing activities in the Middle East. None of this was on the agenda for the nuclear negotiations. The only thing on the agenda was the nuclear file to see if we can get to a point where the world is satisfied that Iran has a nuclear program that is only for peaceful purposes, that it can't produce a bomb. That's what we're focused on. But as I said, the only thing the president raised with President Rouhani when he spoke to him, other than the nuclear issue, was the fate of these three Americans and asking that they be returned to the United States.
Well, in the case of Saeed Abedini, they apparently intensified his incarceration. They threw him into a more hostile prison environment. That looks like a real slap at the U.S., directly at the president after he raised it with Rouhani.
We've been repeatedly clear that we're calling on Iran to release them. The president's raised it. We will continue to raise it, and we hope to see them return home.
We certainly do. All right, Tony Blinken from the White House, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.